Let me take this time to shine my light. Shine the light. Shine the light.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 4 of the Light Leadership Diaries. We have some really interesting people that are here. They're going to share a little bit about their story, part of their journeys, some of their setbacks. And I just want to ask you to get your pen, get your paper, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and really enjoy the ride that we're going to take you on for the next 45 minutes. Without further ado, you guys remember Tabani, my partner in this, Tabani Msomi, also sales director at Energizer, DJ, producer, jack of all trades. And then next to him, we've got Bame, also known as Basetan.
Thank God.
And then we've got Moteo Matao, and then your co-host, Michael Lebona. So, Taban, please, without further ado, tell us why we're here.
So as you know, we're here to have conversations with industry leaders. For us, myself and Michael, to obviously learn from this the session. And then obviously at the same time, you, the viewer at home, get the opportunity to get some insight from these thought leaders that we are sitting with here today. And I'm really excited about this one, as you know, lots of thorough research as usual that we've done, and I think you'll be quite impressed with the sort of knowledge that will be imparted with you today. And I think just to start, we always like to start this way. Just maybe Bame, you can maybe introduce yourself to the viewers. And the way we like to do it is, you will introduce yourself, and then we will introduce you as well, as based on from how we view you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Basitsana Bame. So often people call me Bame. I think that's the name that most people know me by, but it's Basitsana Bame. I'm a young 35-year-old from Mafikeng. So I grew up in a very small town in Mafikeng. And yeah, I'm currently a mother of four daughters. I work for FMCG business, and that's me in a nutshell. I'm actually quite keen to see how you're going to introduce me.
Brace yourself.
As per normal, the leaders always really summarize the sort of the people that they are. But this phenomenal lady here, like she said, she come from obviously Mafikeng, and she studied at English Afrikaans school, Mafikeng Hoer School, if I'm correct. And it's quite fascinating because I don't know where she gets the time. I think she doesn't live on 24 hours. She lives on more than 24 hours. So I'll start way back. So back in high school, she was in the student representative council. She was in the debating team. She was in the netball team. From the age of 12, she's been representing provincial. And then also she studied at the University of Pretoria, doing BCom law in marketing as well as business management. But that wasn't enough. I think one day she was walking on campus and she found these ladies who were doing dance routines. She basically is she's trained in Latin American as well as ballroom dancing. So she asked these ladies if she could join them, and bam! It turned out that these ladies were the Blue Bulls dancing ladies at the matches. And
I hope you can see Mateo's face right now.
But what's phenomenal is that, so if you know the Blue Bulls, obviously it's very Afrikaans, and you can imagine all the dancers obviously Afrikaans, but she actually ended up being the captain and head choreographer of that team for I think about 3 years, 2004 to 2007.
Yeah.
But whilst at the same time she's working, so she was working as a trainee account manager, worked herself up to an account manager, worked herself up again to it's the first time I've heard of this, a district sales coach.
Yeah.
And then after that, went back to account management, became customer manager to being the GM for alternative revenue streams at Coca-Cola. But that's not enough. She's a mother of four, as she's explained. Back in 2012, she decided that having an undergrad degree was not enough. So she studied. She went to become honors in strategic management. And as if that's not enough, by the way, the GM role is recent, right?
Yeah.
She recently started this role. But she decided that new role was not enough. So she basically got herself into Henley Business School, which she's studying her MBA currently.
Great.
Like I said, I don't know where she gets the time. She loves hiking, and as I've just recently found out, she loves her traveling. She loves her kids. And a bit later, we'll talk about just some of the feedback we've received from people when we asked about her in terms of what feedback we've gotten from this trailblazer right here.
Wow.
And that's Basetsana Bame Mutimakhodi.
Wow. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say, right? Because we often don't look at ourselves like that. We don't introduce ourselves like that. But yeah, thanks for that, eh? Sure. Thank you very much.
But it's facts, so
it is.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Cool. And Michael?
Mutel.
Well, you're in for a very short one. I don't know how I ended up here after that. I should have gone first, actually. My name is Moteo Matsao. From a professional point of view, I think one could say I have been a marketing student in all the organizations that I've worked for, and there's a few. And recently, and I say recently, maybe in the last 5-6 years, I've made this transition to general management. Other than that, I don't know what Mike is going to tell you about me, but that's about it. That's about it. Yeah.
Is that your story?
Is
that who you are?
I'm sticking to it.
Wow. Viewers, Mutel Matsao, where do I start? So Mutel, originally from Lesotho. And Mutel, studied at Wits. And when he was at Wits, normally when we go to university, we go there to study and study alone. Mutel, started a business, a printing business with a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours. And they started this printing business called Sebata Trading. And they did this for about 3 years whilst he was at varsity. So Mutel's always had an entrepreneurial, spirit. Because for him, he doesn't rest on his laurels. He finished his studies, and then he started working for Robertson's in 2000. And whilst working for Robertson's, in the marketing space, he then worked for Unilever in the foods division. And he was there for about 4 to 5 years, working his way up from assistant brand manager to senior brand manager. After about 5 years, Mutel then left. He went to Barloworld, where he became marketing manager for cement. I mean, you would have thought, guy from foods to concrete,
Wow.
But and he was there, also for about 2 to 3 years, and then from there he tried, he then went into the financial, or rather the banking space, where he headed up marketing for Standard Bank CIB. So he was there for also about 2 years, and then from there, that's when he then moved into the MultiChoice Group. And this is where he really got a lot of his success, really elevating from middle management into senior management, where he headed up sales and marketing for DSTV South Africa. DSTV
Mobile.
DSTV Mobile, and then got promoted shortly after, heading up DSTV Mobile sales and marketing for Africa. Not too long after that, then was head of sales and marketing for DSTV, and then marketing director for SuperSport. So he was there for about plus minus 6 to 7 years.
Yeah,
so within a space of 6 to 7 years, he got promoted 3 times. So that should tell you the kind of person that he is: his work ethic, his passion, his drive, and just the successful person that he is, specifically from a thought leadership perspective. Because you don't get too many people who are marketing purists who then also do really well from a sales perspective.
Yeah.
And he was in a position where he was heading up both sales and marketing. And then in around about 2016, he then left MultiChoice and he went to Ster-Kinekor, where he headed up sales and marketing. And then from there, he then got promoted where he was the deputy MD or deputy CEO for Ster-Kinekor. And recently, probably about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, at least that's when I saw it, he's now acting CEO for the Ster-Kinekor Group. So that is Motheo Matsao. Very different to how he introduced himself.
Exactly.
And this,
not quite.
and this speaks to personal branding.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, often, you know, when we describe ourselves
Yeah.
versus when other people, our peers,
Yeah.
our colleagues, people that look up to us, you know, people who are in our teams, they view us very different to how we view ourselves.
And I think, I mean, like I said earlier, we did ask a couple of people in terms of when to describe, you know, the different people that we are about to talk to. And it's interesting, you know, I always gauge it on how many people are willing to give the feedback, you know, and unanimously every person that we've asked was willing to give feedback. And in fact, it wasn't a one-liner. It was a lot of writing that if I had to repeat everything, I would have to read the whole thing. But for Motheo, I mean, what was some of the feedback that you got?
So some of the feedback, and Bame has already experienced this already. Motheo is very honest.
Yeah.
He provides very honest feedback, you know, and that's one thing about him. And he's very wise. He's got a lot of wisdom, and he often shares his wisdom. Sometimes he'll share it masked in humor.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't know Motheo, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a funny guy with a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know?
This is feedback we're getting from people.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? He's a visionary.
Yeah.
He's a very strong leader. He is very confident, extremely, and he bets on himself. So he didn't just get to where he's gotten to, you know, he's very deliberate in terms of what he wants and how he's going to go about, you know, getting there. He's a planner, you know, and you'll find a lot of leaders who are visionary. They think 2-3 steps ahead. Some of the other feedback, you know, he was an MC at someone's wedding, and the person said, you know, to this day, some of the feedback, or rather some of the advice he gave him still resonates today, even though he's been married over 10 years.
Wow.
You know, Motheo is a fantastic husband. He's a person, he loves Liverpool, which is one of the reasons why we get along so well. He loves pirates, and he loves motorbikes. You know, you would never think that. Looking at him, his demeanor, you know, you'd never think that he's a biker, but he's a biker. And Orata sound. He loves music. You know, he loves a good time. But you know, I don't know where he always finds the time. And one thing I never mentioned, which is something that people often mention, Motheo's got an MBA.
Yeah.
And often people with the MBA will tell you they've got an MBA.
Yeah.
Motheo did his MBA, I think it was right about 2009. 2009 and
Which is what I was asking you earlier in
Yeah.
terms of where the hell did he get the time?
Absolutely.
Because you just started hitting up that division
At Standard Bank,
and did the MBA at the same time.
100%.
So similar to like other
And
people.
change jobs.
And change jobs.
And change.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I remember that time he said to us, he said, guys, don't invite me to anything, you know, because unfortunately I won't be able to attend anything, so don't catch feelings. And that's why I said, you know, it's very focused. So
Yeah.
for him, that period of time was, I'm going to immerse myself into this so that I can get the real value,
Yeah.
not just for for myself, but also, you know, so that I can grow in the process.
Yeah.
And that is Motheo Matsao in a nutshell.
Wow.
And that was not a nutshell, but
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
that's
Thanks,
just how
Mike.
much.
Yeah. Like you said, I think it's weird because you don't, you know, we never do this.
Take stock,
I don't take stock. I don't see these things. But when you speak about them, yeah, I can see some of those.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of those highlights.
Some of the trauma still there.
Yeah. I mean, when we asked about you, there was a common theme around, you know, very focused, very ambitious, and generally when you hear ambitious, sometimes you get concerned about, okay, so that means they're about themselves, etc. But the constant feedback we kept getting was around how you are so passionate about people. I think some of the quotes you made was around, you know, you want to deliver through people. And that's always your thing. It's about developing people and really growing with them versus you just growing by yourself. The one word that was used, or one quote that was used was, you're a woman who's after God's heart. And just you're very humble. You're always there, but it doesn't mean that you're a pushover. You actually stand your ground and you speak up, and you fight for what you believe in at all times, which is also quite rare, in these situations. And obviously, your love for your family has come through like a lot in all of the feedback, and also people are also quite. They keep mentioning the fact that you're a dancer. In fact, they're using even in present tense. So you are a dancer.
So I'm dancing.
Exactly. So you're dancing even today, which is
the dance circles around us.
Exactly. So it's always about that's just the constant feedback that comes through, and I always like to segue into something where it's about, from what I've seen through your life, and it's for both of you, it feels like you were born to be achievers from day one, and I'm always intrigued by this in terms of what is that? What drives that? Because generally we find reasons why not to do something, but for you guys, it feels like you have this mentality of why not, or whatever, but it's like, this is what I want to do, and then you do it. Like I was saying, you were doing the dancing and you're doing the working, and it's not just you were at a senior level at that time. You were also trying to carve your career in corporate, and you're doing that at the same time. But the leadership piece, even in high school, it was there. You were really big on books, but you were also very big on the social sports side. And my question is around, what is that? What inspires that? What drove? What is your drive that makes you do that?
That's an amazing question, eh? and I just want to take one step back, because you said we were born to be achievers, right? I've always said it's not us. Everyone is born to be an achiever. I guess it's about recognizing that. And unfortunately, some people don't recognize that early enough in their lives. They only pick it up as they grow older and they experience certain things. But I've always said all of us are born to give back. All of us are born to impact from a young age. And you see that one, how the child likes to cook. You can see immediately. But however, for me, the biggest piece, I guess, was the type of family I was born into. So my dad is a teacher, my mom is a teacher, right? So my dad trained me from a young age. He used to say to people, "Wanna get boss?" He used to say that like to everybody, right? And whether I was winning or not, I was always winning with him. So I had somebody talking into my life from a very young age. And I think that is what kept me going, even throughout primary school, being the president, high school, still being the president, right? And playing netball, coming from a small town in Mafikeng. I did a lot of things that normally my peers wouldn't be doing. I was that one kid that get driven to Cape Town to go and play netball there, at a tender age of 13. But it was all about the foundation. It was all about the people that were speaking into my space. And I guess I carried that,
But the question, I think, for me, it was more on also like about, so yes, you're doing it.
Yes.
But you don't just participate.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you go there and then you elevate.
Yeah.
So for example, you're talking about, yes, you were, a president in high school, but this is a predominantly Afrikaans. Speaking,
it was an Afrikaans
school, right?
Yeah.
And you are the captain of the netball team. You are, you know what I mean? It's not like you are there to compete and you're saying, okay, cool, I'll be part of the team, but you excel to the point where you're leading the people, and that part is intriguing in terms of how was that built?
How was that built? Yeah. And look, I guess even in the winning. Because when you win and you accomplish something, it's almost like there's a certain feeling that brings. And the moment you learn to identify that feeling, you want to replicate it. It's human nature. You want to replicate that feeling. You want to replicate being on top. I did it again. I can do it again. And for me, I've always, if I look at my whole entire life, even where I am now, I work in a predominantly male space.
Correct.
Right? Trade marketing,
Correct.
Mike will tell you, you call on clients and, It's male-dominated space. You're expected to show up in a particular way. So most definitely for me, I think I was blessed in that I managed to carve that from a young age, and I carried it through my life. Even till today, I'm still a student of life. I'm consistently learning. I see myself as in a developmental stage all the time, because the moment you show up, I haven't arrived, I've done this, I know this. You're gonna block yourself from learning a lot more. So and being humble, I guess, right? It's a big piece. In humbleness you learn, in humbleness you absorb, in humbleness you give, and for me that's the driving piece. So. Wow. I don't know if I answered you, but yeah.
And for you, Mateo, I mean,
it's pretty similar. I was thinking about it as Bame was speaking. I think for me, even though I didn't consciously, from a young age, I didn't consciously think about it this way. The truth for me has always been that we have a responsibility as our parents' children. To move the family at least one step forward. And whatever that means, whether it's by how we behave, how we treat people, how we raise our kids, what we succeed in. And I was in a rather unfortunate position of having parents that were achievers themselves.
Very successful in their own right.
So it becomes difficult to I mean, I have a father, he just turned 72. My dad has been working since he was 14 years old. So here I am waltzing into a place of work at 21 or whatever it was. What excuse do I have? And that has always been my thing. Even though at a younger age, it wasn't a conscious thing, but you look at your parents and you look at your grandparents and you just understand that you can't fail them to begin with. But also, they can't have done such a terrible job that you can't at least take one step forward. Right? So that was the first thing. The second thing is that kind of drove me was on the sports field. So I went to a boys' school in high school. I went to an all-boys school in Zimbabwe. I was 11 years old when I got there, 12 years old. Didn't know anybody. I was, for the first time, away from home. I was on my own in boarding school. And I realized something, that street cred is only acquired from trying. And until you try, you don't know how good you can be at anything. And at a boys' school, if you don't have street cred, you're dead. So fortunately, I came in with a little bit of tennis. I could play tennis really well then. I could play football really well. I'd never played rugby in my life, but all the girls liked the rugby playing guys. So to get the respect you needed, you ought to have participated in everything. And I soon learned that, I'm not the most athletic of people, so I'm never going to be the best guy. Maybe in tennis, I had the arrogance, but in everything else, I was never going to be the best guy. But being there and being counted, and people, the opposition knowing that you're there was enough. And I took that for me to say, they've got to know that you've been through here. And that doesn't necessarily equate to being a CEO or anything. Do something that's never been done, no matter the scale. Now that I'm older, I think about it a lot more consciously. And I'm glad that I had the foresight, even though it wasn't planned younger. The one thing I regret, though, about that whole journey is I wish somebody had rang you're an adult bell earlier. I think if I'd started taking life seriously whilst having fun at 17, I'd probably be, 10 years ahead of where I am. But there's a good chance that I could have been 10 years behind where. So everything happened in its own time. But I think the moral of my whole thing is don't leave very little to chance if you can.
I just want to talk about personal setbacks. Because people often think that when they've heard your story, they've heard your journey, and they probably think that it was an easy journey, an easy path. You just got one role after the next, after the next, after the next. Things just fell into place. I just want to can you tell me, maybe one of your setbacks that you've actually encountered in your journey?
And many. Mike, too many to tell. But I'll tell you the one that was most profound for me, and I carried that one. At Unilever, and you've been to Unilever, you've worked for Unilever, and that's similar to Coke, I'm sure. And it is hell of a competitive, especially when you arrive. That first 4 years. And I remember I had a lot of confidence, and I thought, nah, I'm as good as any other person here. And year 1 went by, year 2 went by, year 3 went by, and people started getting promoted. And I wasn't getting promoted. And I looked around, and year 4 came about, and I wasn't getting promoted. And now what is happening in year 4 is that even the cohort that joined after you starts getting promotions. And I thought, no, maybe I'm not cut out for this marketing thing. Maybe I should go to supply chain or something. Like maybe try. And I remember having a conversation. We were very fortunate. At the time, we had a young CEO. A guy called Kees Krethoff, a Dutch guy. He was 36 years old and he was the CEO of Unilever Foods. So he could identify with us. We were in our early 20s. And I went to him and I said, Kees. And he was that kind of leader, you know. He knew everybody by name, knew everybody's story in that building. Right. You know what I mean?
As big as it is.
As big as it is. And I said to him, Kees, I must tell you, I'm a bit deflated. My peers are moving on. And Kees had come to my office and he took off his shoes as he did and he put his feet he didn't wear socks, and he put his feet on his desk and he said, listen here. I started working for this company when I was 22. I'm 36 now. I'm the youngest CEO they have globally. All my promotions happened in the last 7-8 years. So forget about what's happening with other people. And he said to me, always picture yourself with a backpack. And along this journey that you're walking, you're picking up what's useful to you. It doesn't mean just because the guy in front of you is picking something up that you find that thing useful. Right. So forget what other people are doing and pick up what you feel is useful for your journey. And you'll see. One day it's going to just all implode and you're going to find yourself every year getting a promotion, and then it's going to be too much. And then you're going to say to your boss, just hold on. I haven't gotten the hang of this yet. But you were well prepared for that years prior whilst you were busy taking your time. So he said, there's no shame in just taking your time and doing things properly. And he was right. So my setback, and till today, I'm extremely competitive.
Right.
Not in a negative way, I hope. I'm competitive because I use in my life, I have benchmarks and sort of milestones. And one of those, whether you like it or not, is your peers.
Right. Yeah.
And so when it took me a while to get promoted. It was a setback. For a while, I thought I was depressed, but it came around. You know, things happened and it came about. And I think I learned a lesson which is a lesson that was actually ignited in high school. Stay the course, bind your time, do what needs to be done, and your time will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If not here, somewhere else.
Right. And I like what if not here, somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because often we think that our journey or success has to be in that specific space where we're in, or actually right now. Yeah. Not realizing that everything that you're going through is empowering you. It's the knowledge, the experience for potentially somewhere else where you're gonna even bloom or even shine even more.
Yeah. So true.
But I mean, you've been in one organization your entire career. Yeah.
14 years, right?
I can't say that about many people.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, what is it about this organization that has kept you there? Because I'm sure you've had opportunities.
Yeah.
People have called you, emailed you, recruiters say, hey.
They still do.
And they still work.
Yeah. Yeah.
How,
Why?
Why?
Yeah. I guess, 14 years is a long time, right? I mean, I joined the Coke system, I was turning 20 that year, and I had just graduated from varsity. And I couldn't find, I couldn't find work in the legal space. I studied law. So I'm like, okay, let me try this just to keep me going, so that I've got a bit of an income coming in.
Correct.
So there I am, I walk into this Coke system. And by the way, I started packing coolers, you know that. Right, I started in trade, packing coolers with my degree, wearing the overall and the drill, drilling frames into the wall, working physical operational work on the ground. and fast forward 14 years, you ask me why I'm still here. Look, I mean, I think I've been quite privileged to work for an organization that allowed me to grow through it. So there was no given, at any given point, I wasn't in one position for too long.
Right.
I was consistently being challenged. And I think their ability to keep me engaged and motivated through the 14 years has kept me there.
Right.
To a point where right now I get offers, right? I get a lot of offers. But before I can even blink or think of going, the affinity that I've developed towards this organization is keeping me there. I know there's work still to be done because of the fact that as I walk through this organization, there was quite a number of mentors that kept me in check. And as they've influenced me and as I've grown to understand more of who I am, what I can give, what I can impart, it's almost like I feel there's a sense of responsibility for me to do the same for others that are coming through the organization. And that's one of the main reasons why I would say I would want to stay in the Coke system as long as what I have. By the way, I'm still growing, right? So you said I just became a GM. There's big plans, right?
Of course.
But there's always big plans. But for me, as much as I'm growing, I'm not too focused on how can I get to the next level. I'm more focused about everybody else that is behind me or coming after me. How can I mentor them? How can I bring them through this organization similarly as what it was done for me? So 14 years, and you know what, it's funny because people our age, people don't expect us to stay, right? You want us to be jumping around because we're chasing the titles, some of us, right? We're chasing titles.
Or you're chasing experience in a different industry.
In a different industry,
I mean,
right?
Mateo worked in
Fair.
banking, cement,
Fair.
foods.
Yes.
Now, multi-choice, clinical. So I mean, because you're growing, you also grow.
You're growing, in length, not just in the range.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And I guess for me, I mean, you looked at the roles I've occupied, from an account manager to a district sales coach.
Right.
There I am in the revenue space teaching, the how to profitable selling. Yeah. Did you just say males? Teaching, I still teach males. And then from there I moved to another side, which was the key account space. Completely different as well. I'm not internal looking, I'm external looking now. I'm engaging with all these big corporates outside, right? Engaging stakeholders, growing the business. So it's the ability, and then now I look after exports, by the way, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So I look after 38 countries, I sell. I don't sell in SA, I sell outside SA. So I have really, really, really been kept busy. I've really been kept engaged. I'm consistently learning. And I think that's why I'm still here. And I love the business. I know many people don't say that. I love the business. I love the people that I work with. I am even the leaders that I work with, the mentors, the guiding, all of that. They set you up. They set you up. They so for me, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, I think.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see after the show.
I'm worried.
And in terms of setbacks, because I think that's the misconception a lot of people have. It's around when they see the trajectory, like Mateo was explaining, one of his setbacks.
Yeah.
There's millions of them.
There's lots.
Right. Anyone that sticks to mind?
Yeah, hey. There's plenty. Yes, guys, there's plenty of setbacks. And I think the one that I can think of now was similar to what Mateo was saying, being overlooked.
Yeah.
There were times where I was in the sales manager space for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I started to ask myself, but I'm winning the awards. I'm putting the score.
Correct.
Why am I not getting the positions, right?
Correct.
But with that being said, I think the one thing that kept me going was I've always understood and appreciated the power of process. I always say it's either you're getting pruned or you're going through pain, but you gotta understand that when you're going through that difficult space that you're going through, you're getting pruned for something else. You're getting prepared for something better. I look back at some of the work I did. I mean, even when I was a sales manager in the growth unit, we would walk the streets, right, and pack the coolers and that sort of thing. It looked like it was a lower sales manager role versus the other guys that were
more glamorous,
dressing up,
looking after Santon.
Yeah, going into Santon, and even some of my peers would look back and say, "Hey man, you know what I mean?" I had to go through that.
Yeah.
Today I can lead teams and I can guide and I can give directions and I can build strategies of what I've gone through. So most definitely, 14 years later, I'm still here.
So thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of The Light Leadership Diaries. So now that we have your attention, I think it's really important, if you really enjoyed today's session, that you subscribe. Make sure that you log on, subscribe to the content. Tabani, what else must they do?
Ensure that you click the bell notification so that you get confirmation every time we load a new episode.
And then once you do that, make sure that you like the comments, or rather like the content, comment on the content, especially if it feels like it's going to really benefit you in terms of growing yourself in your personal capacity or even in your professional capacity.
And if you have any sort of other information or other topics that you'd like us to discuss, please share in your comments below.
Thank you.
Let me take this time